Hi, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. Growth Drive is the #1 best-selling business advising platform, and this is our podcast, The Business Advisor Hot Seat. Now, in the hot seat, you're going to hear from industry leaders, thought leaders, your colleagues who are going to share tips, techniques, war stories about building a thriving advisory business based on delivering client wins. We're going to get into it. We'll get into it about the Growth Drive methodology, the Clarity software, what we see out in the world, so much more than just the system. And I'm also the author of The Growth Driving Advisor, which is based on over a decade of being an advisor to advisor, working with you and your colleagues, helping them build their practices, helping them through client engagements, and it's really proven strategies for leading businesses from stuck to best in class. Check it out. So strap in. We're going to light this up. Here we go. Our guest this week is Beth LaGuardia Cooper, who's the Chief Marketing Officer with Forbes Books. And Beth and I have become good friends. Coincidentally, Forbes is here in Charleston, and Beth is our favorite thought leader for helping senior pros like you promote yourself as an authority rather than merely an expert. So, guys, Beth is about to share a lot of wisdom. I hope you enjoy it. Saddle up, strap in. Here we go. This week's episode is brought to you by Be Ready Advisors. Enhance your business advisory services with specialized exit solutions. Listen, these guys will team up with you, increase your bench depth when you need specialized exit planning solutions for your clients. It's led by industry veterans Anna Halliburta, John Carter, and Kelly Malagilla Carter, sponsors of the 2024 Growth Drive Summit. Be Ready Advisors. Check them out at bereadyadvisors.com.
Great leaders aren't born, they're built. That's where we come in. We're Advantage, the authority company. We transform experts into authorities with our best-in-business publishing and marketing solutions. We can help you explore the power of thought leadership, own your story, bridge your brand to your target audience, forge powerful connections, grow your influence, and unlock endless possibilities to elevate your success. Get started today at theauthoritycompany.com.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And this week in the hot seat, we have Beth LaGuardia, who's become a good friend. Beth is the Chief Marketing Officer at Forbes Books, Advantage Media, of which Forbes Book is an imprint. And Beth, rather than me mangle what you do, why don't I hand it over to you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about why professionals come to you, to Forbes Books.
Thank you, George. And thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. And all the work that we do together and all the fun that we have together has enriched my life. You have so many amazing people at Growth Drive who you encounter. So I appreciate it so much. What do I do? So as a Chief Marketing Officer, my role is to focus on building the brand strategy for the organization, thinking about our growth opportunities, and most importantly, helping find the CEOs and entrepreneurs who have a story to share and positioning them to best amplify their voice to reach the audience and make the impact that they want to help grow their business.
Yeah. And you guys do a fantastic job. And I'll dig into that because I have a little personal experience. You know, when I met, you guys published my book. I came to Advantage Media. I ended up talking to Forbes. I had a fantastic, unvarnished testimonial. I had a fantastic experience and be happy to talk about that. And I really recommend anyone who's considering a book now or in the future should really talk with you because you have such a fantastic process. Maybe we should start there. And you and I are friends because by happy coincidence, Forbes is in Charleston. I'm now in Charleston, and that's just worked out beautifully. Hey, so maybe we should start with Advantage Media and Forbes Books is so much more than just books. Can we talk about that for a sec?
Sure. I think it might make good sense to start with why we exist to begin with. And that is because you had traditional publishers to whom you would give away rights to your story, to invest in you, to produce your book, and on their terms, on their timeline, in the way they want to. And then you have self-publishing, which has become more and more possible for people. And that is a place that you do control your words. But on the other hand, It's a very arduous, tough process. And to stand out and get the results that business leaders want by sharing their story, it's not really the best option that many people find. So in the middle there is the creation of Advantage Forbes Books. And that allows one to keep the rights to their book, to their content, and to be able to control the outcome of all of the pieces of both their publishing process and also how they use their content and share their story, and to have it done for them, which is in a high quality way, which is really important. So what do we do? Over the first 5 or so years of the business, our founder and CEO, Adam Whitty, who saw this need and a gap in the market, focused on publishing. Well, he found out that most people didn't really know what to do with the book. He always saw it as a business card, an opportunity to get people to make a bigger impact, to see your story and not to make a bigger impact, to grow your business or leave a legacy. But it really came down to what an individual chose to do with it, and they needed help. So then what was created is a very comprehensive book promotion strategy as well as authority building strategy. And in the end, we've really become like Amazon started as books. We started in our own way as books and publishing, but really what we are is an authority building company. So as you think about a CEO or entrepreneur sharing their story, to what end is their goal? Their goal may be to grow their business or to leave a legacy, to get speaking engagement specifically, to land on corporate boards, to transition away from the corporate CEO space and be a full-time thought leader where they're earning some income. And our team, with all of our services across PR and content and book promotion and airport promotion for books and all of the other things we do, including podcast services, do achieve that goal. And our approach is to develop a custom program that works for you based upon your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting. So I thank you for hitting on the business model. And I try to explain that to people. You can go one of 3 ways. And as you said, you can either go to a traditional house and give up control and the money, frankly. You can work with someone like you and Forbes Books and retain a lot of control and the revenue. And then you can self-publish. Now, I think what's more interesting is the process of writing a book. So I largely wrote my book, and I say largely because I have to give credit to my book doctor. So I wrote the manuscript. I wrote 100,000 words, poor guy, and handed it over, and we whittled it down, edited it down to 54,000, and made it make sense, right? And there are a lot of reasons for writing a book. I wrote my book because I wanted to record my intellectual property, the concept of strategic capacity, the 3 dimensions of business growth, the methodology, the process, the business operating system, et cetera. You guys did a great job of taking what was a written, it was a book, and turning it into something, into what it's ended up being, and it's selling. In fact, Amazon just ran out. I'm happy to report. So it's a high class problem to have. But there's you guys, it can help people on every step of the journey. Let's talk about, someone who hasn't written a manuscript, who just has an idea for a book. What does that experience look like?
Yeah, George, you're the edge case, and you're probably not surprised to hear that because you're probably uniquely supreme in that way and all things you do. But 85% of business leaders who come to us do not have a book written. And really, they don't have the time to write a book, even if they had the idea for it. And so that's where we come in most cases. 15% of the time, it's someone like you who has written a manuscript, or at least partially written a manuscript. Yeah. And as you said, we have book doctors, book coaches, whatever you want to call the name, who sit down with you and take that rough manuscript and make it into the final product that delivers what you want. You said 100,000 words. Someone out there might be thinking 100,000 words. Okay, that's a lot. The average business book is 45,000 words.
Yes.
Even at 54, you must have had to cram as much as you could into what was originally, very dense. And probably book number 2.
And the result is very dense too. It's not a page turner, right? It's intellectual property. Yeah.
It is. And it's important to be true, authentic to what it is you're trying to accomplish. And I know your book did that. With respect to the 85%, the people who come to us with an idea, what's really neat is that we have a team of people who are, as we call them in the industry, ghostwriters,
Yes.
who, and this is like 85% of how books get written, business books today. So this is not putting someone in a small group of people who are not writing their book. This is the majority of how it gets done.
Mhm.
So the business leader sits down and essentially in a discovery process, the book architect, the book planner pulls out of them what their core ideas are, what their why is, what they're hoping to accomplish, who the audiences are, who they're trying to reach, and what they're aiming to compel them to do. And then they really dive into what is your brand? What is your voice? What are your words? All the anecdotal stories, the lessons you want to come across. Believe it or not, there's a very disciplined process by which they sit down and accomplish this. And typically it's a series of interviews, video interviews with the author and their ghostwriter. And even that decision, who is the ghostwriter, is not one that we take lightly. It's kind of a matchmaking process.
Yeah.
So we sit down and discuss who is going to be right for you. What are specific characteristics of someone who you would like to work with? Do they have topical expertise? Are they a certain likeness to the profile of your audience, maybe? Are there certain things that are going to work better for you than others? And then we go through a matchmaking process to identify not only people who fit that, but people who are incredibly compelled to write your story. And then they consider themselves, which is an amazing talent, a vessel through which your words just come out in a structured book.
Yeah, and it's fascinating having talked to a bunch of people who have used your ghostwriters, my colleagues. That it sounds, the finished product sounds like their voice, which is they do become a vessel. It's really astounding, and very neat. And that actually, I think that goes to the quality of the operation that you and Evan and Adam are and Renee are running, and it's super cool. I think there are 4 and counting, right? 4 and growing people in our community who have decided that they want to work with Forbes at some level, and because you do a lot more. I mean, promoting yourself as an authority. Maybe we can dive into that.
Sure.
The difference between promoting yourself as an authority. So you kind of have, I'm an expert. I'm a thought leader. I'm an authority, and let's talk about that for a sec. What's your perspective?
Sure. We actually developed a whole framework. I don't know if we've talked about this before, George, an authority maturity. And at the kind of low end of the maturity curve, you have people who are experts. They're typically building their expertise, building their credentials, which of course we all are doing throughout our entire career these days.
Yeah.
But they are essentially leveling up to legitimize their expertise and become later on an authority. Then you have people who are ready to talk about, share their ideas. And typically this is a very crowded space. And we jokingly have heard this called and have adopted the term expertville. So in expertville, it's very crowded. It's tough to get your message out. And typically you're finding people who are simply providing best practices, nothing wrong with this, but how-tos and hacks in their discipline. On the other side is the group of people who we call the visionary town or visionary bill. And in that space, those are people who are really looking to change the paradigm. They're futurists. They're thinking about how whatever the way is that things are done in their discipline or in their space or largely in a societal problem that exists today, they have challenges for, and then they present their paradigms that are new and different and novel to the marketplace to get their message out. So as much as possible over the course of relationships with our members, which can exist forever, and publication can just be one component of it. It can be an earlier component, can be a later component, but we do say that a book is a great accelerator of one's credibility and authority.
Yes.
something that drives instant credibility to layer on top of your expertise and further your authority goals. What you're doing as you're building authority is really beginning to expand your reach and your impact and your relevance based upon everything from PR opportunities, earned media, to your own message to your community through things like podcasts, your individual blog posts, your newsletters, articles you may be writing in third-party outlets that are trusted in your space, like Entrepreneur, for example.
Sure.
And those are all things that take content ideation, creation, and placement. And we do all of those things. And then in addition, the amplifying of one's message through things like PR, which is a special service that we offer and have been offering for quite some time for clients who are really looking to spread their message to new places. So I think what's different that we do on the media services side is that we're not focused as much on a corporate brand or a corporate space. We're focused on the thought leader.
Yes.
So where I've seen us really transcend the capabilities of any other entity I've worked with in 30 years is that we're so dedicated to getting a thought leader placed and have such a track record with the relationships at all the big tier one outlets you can imagine across every platform that we have quite a good success with getting a message out there and also making it relevant to the trending news cycle, which is incredibly important to getting your message heard and breaking through.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's in a complicated world. If you have an idea and stories that you want to share, and I'm thinking about several people in our community they need to share with the world, because there are a lot of things that the market can learn from these professionals. The book is one of the aspects, but promoting and amplifying is a huge part of it. I was struck, Beth, when you were describing the book, the ghostwriting journey. It sounds very much like writing a marketing plan. Yeah, identifying your promise.
Very much so.
Your audience.
However many marketing plans I've written in my time, it is very much so like that. And one of the big premises of writing a marketing plan is also starting with the end in mind. Where are we going? How does that align to our larger vision? And what operationally are going to be all the considerations? Where are we strong? What challenges do we have? How can we differentiate and find a gap in the market for this individual? And those are all things that, particularly through brand strategy and even our social media products, that we're really focused on the nuances of, as we say, the riches are in the niches, but really finding the ways to help one stand out and make their story come across in the unique way that it really at its basis is authentically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can say that I can vouch for the fact that having a book is, some people write books to have a calling card. I wrote it for my own reasons, but it has been an absolutely transformative process, the process of writing the book, and the process, and then the richness of having a book out in the market, and it demonstrates your seriousness on a topic, and it's really been great. And as you know, you and I have discussed it. There's there are some derivative works coming, and the next one is maybe next year if I can free up some time. But I'll be working with you and the team again on book number 2. Actually, it's technically book number 3, but we won't talk about book number 1.
Okay.
You never saw the light of day. Self-publishing. So when you came in, I'm thinking back. You guys, Forbes Books sponsored our summit. Thank you very much. And you came and gave a presentation that is still being discussed. I mean, I guess it's not that surprising. It's only been a few months, but it is still coming up regularly. People bring it up. They'll ask about it. You share just for a sec with the audience what you covered in the summit, and then I'd like to pick up on that and expand on it.
Sure. Well, We typically, and as I did there, really start out talking about what it means to be an authority. And that really starts with why authority is so important. And it comes down to the fact that we don't trust our media, and we're very skeptical because there's so much information and so many options out there as far as experts or solutions or brands go, that we're looking for signals to determine whether or not it's even worth putting our trust in having an initial conversation with anyone we encounter. And we want to be educated. We don't want to be sold. So where you look to that is not someone who is trying to sell you something, who's coming across through traditional channels. Not that there's anything wrong with these, but of advertising and such. You're instead looking for someone who comes across as an educator, a teacher with something to teach you, some value to give you. And that is how relationships get formed. It all kind of comes back to building relationships first, not aiming to sell people. And you do that so well, George, because there's no question that what you're looking for is a relationship, not a transaction. And that is where you really differentiate yourself. And believe it or not, that alone is a really kind of an enlightened way of looking at marketing and growing one's business. So starting with that as the premise, we outline how to first establish your credibility and trust. So what do people see when they Google you? Which is something that can be tough to think of even doing.
Yes. This week's episode is brought to you by Growth Drive and the C3D certification. If you're looking to expand your reach and relevance with business owning clients, whether you're a business advisor or wealth advisor, this is a certification for you. And after completing it, you will understand how to make profits and transferable value M&A price actionable, how to maximize results for your clients. So get the details at growthdrive.com/C3D, scan the QR code, register. Listen, this is the path to building a thriving advisory business based on delivering client wins. This week's episode is brought to you by Be Ready Advisors. Enhance your business advisory services with specialized exit solutions. Listen, these guys will team up with you, increase your bench depth when you need specialized exit planning solutions for your clients. It's led by industry veterans Anna Halliburta, John Carter, and Kelly Malagilla Carter, sponsors of the 2024 Growth Drive Summit. Be Ready Advisors. Check them out at bereadyadvisors.com.
So what do they see when they Google you? What do they see when they visit your LinkedIn page? Are they seeing almost nothing? Are they seeing incredible content that really piques their interest? Are they seeing credibility points such as your credentials, where you've been featured and trusted earned media, where you have been given recognition or awards? Are you a best-selling author? These are all things that provide the clues that help us differentiate whether or not we want to trust someone. And it's critically important. We don't necessarily think about this all the time, but that's an important basis point. And then the next is really how then can we leverage the media available to us in terms of rented media, the media that we pay to be a part of, that we don't control the message on, the media that we earn through, as we know, PR placements, but also there are other types of earned media, such as speaking engagements. Once you start getting some incoming requests, that can be an incredible way to offset what you've previously been paying for in media to extend your voice. And then thirdly, the owned media area. And that is kind of comes in when we start talking about your personal brand website. Do you have one of those? Do you own your name in Google? Do you own your domain? As well as if you have content that you're putting out with your thought leadership message to a community that you own, that you've built a relationship with. So we start down that path. And one of those assets that can be a great multiplier is, of course, a book. So as we think about getting that message out in a way that's going to lift your credibility and strengthen your brand, we start talking about all the ways that can happen. So that's a crux of the message we covered.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very powerful. You know, it's interesting. A lot of people think in terms of So here I'm referring to business advisors. They think in terms of I need leads, I need to meet people, and they think it's sort of in this big volume of numbers. There's something you just said that really resonates. As business, I'm going to just talk to business advisors. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not need 1,000 leads. You do not need 100 leads. What you do need are a dozen qualified potential clients who, when they decide to look you up, can find information that's relevant to them, can see you as someone they can trust, someone who has, I'll use the word, authority. And they come to your LinkedIn profile and it reads, it is interesting, right? It is interesting to read. You guys provide a great service in that department. So then this goes to, all of the things. The book is one aspect of getting yourself out there in a way that when someone says, I might want to hire, let's pick on someone, Barry Goodman, they can, in just a few moments, can get very comfortable that Barry is a serious player and the kind of person with whom they might want to at least have a consultation. That's the name of the game. It's not 100. It's 5, 10, 12. I mean, you guys do a great job of making that happen.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to talk about ROI. That's another thing that
Yes.
What is the type of result one can expect from this? And one other thing that we had talked about at the event, which is usually a homework eye opener for people, is a suggestion that we make to make a list of 50 people who are influential to you in your space. And those might be people you have a relationship with today, and that could be partners, or it could be customers, or it could be someone in your broader network from your alumni group and college. It could be a lot of different places, and likely what you're looking for, people who would help to further your brand credibility and extend your reach to other places. And then we think about the strategies of how to leverage that brand by association.
Yeah.
How do you take best advantage of that in a way that is a win-win for you and the other party? So that's another avenue. The ROI, I will give you a little bit of a story from last week. So I was in Phoenix on Wednesday through Friday last week at the Chief Executive Conference Leadership Forum. And one of our authors lives in Scottsdale, came over just to have coffee with us. And it was a good opportunity to talk with Arjan Singh, who has a competitive strategy book, which you would love, George. It's a competitive war games business that he has, that he's offering to clients, large clients, so typically large scale clients. And he says that he attributes since publication in April 4 new clients,
Nice.
6-figure clients, as well as a board seat that he's been offered as a result of his book, as well as a huge asset in the PR work we're doing together. He was on a Harvard Business Review podcast. So now he has that asset. And he said, you will not believe how helpful that is to send out to people who say, I don't really want to review a deck. I don't want a lot of content. You have a video, something that kind of encapsulates what you do and how you do it. And now he says, I have the perfect thing to send those clients. So just those data points alone, and he had other ones he said have given him more than a positive ROI in less than 6 months. So, but what I saw him do and what I see you do is use the book. Just make it kind of an extension of who you are. It's probably on your electronic signature. I know this is on the back of Arjan's business card. I know that others like Brendan Keegan is another one of our authors, and just to bring up someone else, he has been a 6-time CEO of 5 different business industries, and recently has moved on to become a full-time thought leader. Well, he said the way he knows that he has received value from his books, he's working on his 3rd, is because he went out to a sales conference with 200 salespeople, and the sales leader was going to bring him up to the podium and first showed the beacons of industry in his space, 3 other people, and essentially a slide that encapsulates what level of authority they have. Where are they seen? How many followers they have? Where are they externally going out and sharing the business message? And comparatively, then they bring up Brendan, and he knocks them out of the park on every level. And he said no less than 15 people came up to him after and said, that's why I work here. So attracting the best talent is just one measure.
Nice. I love that story. The ROI is huge. There's absolutely no question. The book is a significant investment of time. Probably would have time, especially if you're writing your own. But which is no better. I probably would have had a better, more readable product if it had been written for me, but that just wasn't anyhow. But in the investment of dollars is also, there's a real investment of dollars. And this goes back to the business model, right? This is an investment like with a traditional, you go to Penguin and they are going to put up the money to publish your book and they're going to keep the money when they sell the book. You're going to get some. With Forbes, we make an investment in your services and we get the lion's share of revenue. And the ROI, now in Growth Drive, we always talk about ROI. In our world, we talk about the return on investment that the business owner is going to get from increasing the value of their company. In terms of the book, the ROI, I love to hear you use that word because the ROI is quickly cash positive. As long as, you can't sit on your hands, you have to do your part. But you guys do a great job of making sure that the investment, the trust that's been put in you is repaid with interest. And it's fantastic. I'm so grateful that I met you guys. First of all, we have a lot of fun together, but it's also professionally been terrific.
The funnest thing for me is supporting our authors, attending their events, being a part of what they do, and frankly, being able to immerse in their environment where they're meeting with clients and being a part of their events and seeing them in their natural habitat helps us to be more effective in working together. I feel like every time I go out to meet with a member or a member comes to meet with us, even in person, and not that anything is wrong with video, but establishing that relationship on a deeper level when there's nothing at stake. We're not working on specifically our work together or negotiating or transacting something together. We're just serving each other and providing value is where we get inspired about how we can do something transformational together.
Yeah, absolutely. Beth, you just mentioned events. You guys had an event. So our summit was in September. You had an event right in October. And I know that it was very well received. Can you talk about the intent of that event and any future events you have on the books?
Sure, happy to. So we are all the time offering virtual and in-person events here in Charleston, and we take the show on the road sometimes too. And those are typically focused on more immersive opportunities to really nail one's brand strategy and content strategy. And those are all very foundational to getting the right message across. So crystallizing what your vision is and what your message is. And often then the hub and spoke method for that is creating all of those content pillars, lessons, anecdotal stories, all of the things that help bring that to life, ultimately results in deciding how is best to build your authority. What does that mean? And we're certainly prepared to equip you with the knowledge to do it, recognizing that it's all about, for all of us, all the measures, time, money, know-how, interest, and in a lot of cases, where one wants to work on something themselves or has resources to do that. And we work with a lot of marketing teams, a lot of internal and external teams who support a CEO or their business just to make sure that we're really nicely aligned. This is also where we can kind of talk out what in your individual situation makes the most sense to help you share your story on a bigger platform.
Yeah. One of our members participated in your October event, and he was over the moon by the experience. And we've talked about it several times since. Anybody listening out there, you go to the website, check it out, track Beth down, and we'll make that easy for you. And if I sound like I'm shamelessly flogging you guys, I am, because I'm so enthusiastic about the experience of working with you, the return on investment that we received, and then and so much more to the point. As I've said, books number 2 and 3 are, and so on. We're going to work together. You are separate from the Forbes organization itself, right? You guys you license the brand, but you're also very close. Even though you're not part of the same company, you guys are very close with Forbes and touch some of those assets, and that's something that's probably a topic for another conversation. But very powerful brand, has done a great job of maintaining itself in the market. So what does Forbes Books have coming down the road? What's the future look like?
Well, like you, I can't divulge everything on the spot, but we are very close to expanding our brand by association, put it that way, with
Great.
some new partnerships. We recently launched, I can talk about this, a partnership with a gentleman, 12-time best-selling author. You might know his name from Sports Illustrated writing, Don Yeager. Don has told the story. He's really a master in the art of storytelling. He probably speaks 60 times a year, keynote speaker at events, and he's a master at helping and we're talking legends like, Michael Jordan, Coach K, people like that, no names who, like us, have a story to tell. And he sits down with them and really helps to elevate their message and really weave the story together, create that golden thread that's just going to be like super elevated. So we are partnered to help to tell more stories. So he says he doesn't have the time to write more than a couple stories a year. And what his view is, he found in us a place to work with to help drive those great stories to get those messages put together and in a high quality way that he would do. And of course, he'll add his Midas touch to those. And we're working together. And we have a few other things in the works, but lots of events. And, we'd love to also say that we do a lot of work individually. So the process that we have is to sit down individually with an author and really spend some deep time developing what we call a blueprint for their authority, which is super low risk on behalf of the person. And that can serve as a great plan for moving forward if we choose to do that. And if not, it's really a fully intact deliverable to help one understand what it takes to build their authority through a book, through other means, and to essentially take the best minds and thinking about this every day and put them to work to create a plan for you that will work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. We advocate something very similar, which is, sit down when you meet a client, sit down and have a deep conversation with them about where they want to go, what they, how their business is going to help them fulfill their life, and then, plan back to today. And you guys do something similar with, what does it look like when someone starts working with you? What's the first thing they'll experience?
The first thing we do is we'll, of course, educate a little bit more deeply about what the process looks like, but most of the time is listening. So tell us why, in your mind, you felt compelled to have this conversation, and let's understand what your story is. What are you trying to accomplish? How does this fit in with your larger vision for your career, your business, or whatever the reason is that you're here? And by the way, that's usually 3 things. So either you're looking to legitimize yourself and grow your business, or you're looking to build a thought leadership following. So maybe you're transitioning away from your corporate career and moving on to becoming, hopefully in the future, a full-time thought leader, and possibly be on boards and on a speaking circuit, etc. And then the final would be more of a legacy. So I'm not looking to accomplish anything else for me, but I am looking to give back and share my experience and wisdom with a future generation.
It's fascinating because when I think about business owners who are exiting their business, they're very often one of the psychological hurdles they need to overcome is what does my life look like? What am I going to get? How am I going to get fulfillment? And you've just described 2 of the biggest emotional motivators. How do I give back? How do I share? And how do I ensure my legacy, the legacy of my life's work, which is typically not an ego thing. It's, we've created something good and I want to make sure the world continues to benefit from it. That's fascinating, Beth. We have a webinar coming up, you and I, on November 20th,
Right.
which is going to be fun. We'll pick up on these topics. And listen, it's hard to believe we've been talking for almost 40 minutes. As usual, time flies. Anything you want to add in closing?
Well, the last point that you made about this is not ego driven, this is how do I give back, is a really important one, because people tend to think, oh, this is going to be all about my ego. And it really is almost never about the ego. It's about making an impact and sharing one's message to help transform other people's lives in some way, shape, or form. And so there, I think, is the concern, as well as the feeling that, well, who's going to want to hear my message? Is it really that important? Does it stand out from other people? And I guarantee you that 99% of the time, people are surprised at how much it does really come to a final product that does both transform other people's lives and reflect impact, not ego. So I really would encourage anybody who's interested in exploring it to look into a webinar that we might offer, or possibly just give us a call or check into our website and submit your name to find out a little bit more, or talk to George, because there's no one says it better than our members. We would rather, somebody else say what we could say, but not with the same impact. So thank you, George.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. As I always say, listen, the first call is free, but, having a conversation with you guys is a very low risk. And what the heck do you have to lose, right? If you've been scratching your head about whether or not writing a book, promoting yourself, promoting your authority on a topic is worthwhile, have a conversation. You don't have anything to lose. And, you will definitely, I can tell you, working with this team, you will definitely learn something of value. You'll have one golden nugget you'll take away from that meeting, even if you decide that a book isn't for you. It's you guys, Beth, you're on a tight ship, and that's why I'm such an unabashed fan. So thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Hey,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I'll talk to you very soon.
All right.
Hi, this is George. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe, like, and please take 2 seconds to leave a review. It tells the world that you like what we're doing, and it helps us understand how we can improve the show. Thank you, and see you next time.